Right, so Keir Starmer has announced that Jeremy Corbyn will not be allowed to stand for Labour in North Islington come the next general election. And having done so, conjecture then ensued as to what Corbyn himself would do next. The thing is, it isn't down to Starmer to decide such things. It's down to North Islington Constituency Labour Party, because Jeremy Corbyn is actually still a Labour member. He has never been expelled by Starmer. He has never resigned from the party and actually hasn't done anything wrong or said anything untoward or anti-Semitic himself. And it's the very body that Starmer is lauding as having cleared his party of anti-Semitism now that cleared Corbyn then. Here's a brief recap. The EHRC, the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, back in 2020, conducted an investigation into Labour's handling of anti-Semitism, and it was pretty scathing. Those who have come to learn from the subsequent Ford report and the Labour Leaks report, this stemmed a lot from the previous administration rather than the one Corbyn himself eventually implemented. There were failings. We know Corbyn's team under Jenny Formby as General Secretary set about cleaning the mess up, but a mess there was, and this was reported on by the EHRC. Of course, the Starmerite move was to suspend Corbyn when he spoke out against the report, particularly when Corbyn questioned the scale of the level of anti-Semitism in the party, the mainstream media having attacked him relentlessly over that, really laying it on as to how much there really was, though, of course, one case is one case too many. The EHRC stated that Corbyn had a legally protected right to say what he had said under the enhanced protections MPs have under the Human Rights Act. On this basis, he naturally fought to be reinstated to the Labour Party whip, which he was, by a right-wing dominated panel of the National Executive Committee, no less, because the rules were clear. The EHRC itself absolved Corbyn from any wrongdoing, and then Starmer immediately abused his own powers as party leader to remove the whip from him again. He had no excuse for doing so. His own party and the EHRC had cleared Corbyn of any personal wrongdoing, and Starmer arbitrarily interfered in that process, simply stating it was a situation he would be keeping under review. In other words, the spineless creature got leaned on by the party's right wing. As such, Starmer is guilty of having interfered in a disciplinary decision, which is a violation of the very report the EHRC had produced in relation to Labour's processes. It had said in no uncertain terms political interference in disciplinary decisions was an abuse of power. Yet that is exactly what Starmer did and has continued to do ever since, keeping that whip withdrawn, never with any intention of ever restoring it. Given the nature of the circumstances that brought things to that point, though, the argument that anti-Semitism has been weaponized against the former Labour leader by the party's current leadership seems to me to be an entirely legitimate one too, which would imply Starmer is the anti-Semitic one, not Corbyn. And so we come to where we are today, with Starmer having formally decreed Corbyn cannot be a Labour candidate. Well, as a Labour member, as he still is, Corbyn is perfectly entitled to put himself forward under the rules of the party itself. In fact, under those rules, as the sitting incumbent MP, he should automatically appear on the ballot should he wish to stand again. It is not for Starmer to impose diktat, and even members of the Socialist campaign group of Labour MPs, the lefties that are left, have chipped in over this, with Diane Abbott calling Starmer's behaviour a betrayal, John Trickett re-emphasising it is for local members to decide, and John McDonnell reminding Starmer that he made a promise to members to let them decide their own MP. A promise Starmer has broken several times over by now, his words meaningless as they are. Of course, Starmer's team have backed him up. Yvette Cooper, Little Miss Immigration Mugs herself, chipped in to say Corbyn wouldn't pass the fit and proper person test to run for Labour. What? He's been the MP since 1983. What's changed now except the stupidity of what passes for the leadership team? You married a man who became a Labour MP after once dressing up as a Nazi. You're not fit and proper, either of you. Corbyn's track record as an anti-racist speaks for itself. Goes back years, from stopping Margaret Hodge from demolishing a Jewish cemetery before either of them even became MPs, to organising a defence against a neo-Nazi march through Wood Green in 1977, to the numerous motions he signed as an MP in support and defence of Jewish people the world over. Here's 50 examples if Cooper needs evidence to show how he's infinitely more suitable to stand as an MP than either she or Starmer are. She raises one valid point, though, the fit and proper person test. Try saying that 3 times fast, which the party NEC have to assess him on. Cue self-appointed rulebook nerd Luke Akehurst to smugly tweet out that the NEC have to endorse a candidate. A constituency Labour Party can't just go picking who they fancy. Well, for one, that's a slap in the face of any Labour members selecting their own candidates if the NEC is in effect saying they can dismiss anybody they don't like and impose who they will. It's not like it doesn't happen. They've been strapping parachutes to Starmer-friendly candidates for months now, every time a by-election crops up. The trouble for Snakehurst, who of course is completely unbiased in such matters, being the director of an Israeli-funded public relations body called We Believe in Israel, the subtext very much being not Palestine though, is that the NEC cleared Corbyn itself. There is no issue for him to answer. The only reason he is suspended is because Starmer did so for political reasons. And with Corbyn not going quietly into the night, it's all going to kick off again and come back into the public eye. To dismiss him now is to condemn an earlier NEC ruling, which was backed up by the Equalities and Human Rights Commission at that time, the same body you're hailing as having cleared your party now. You cannot have it both ways. You either undermine your claims to be free of anti-Semitism this week by keeping Corbyn out, or you readmit him. Were the NEC wrong then and right now, and on what basis, Luke? Of course, doing the right thing has never been Starmer's strong point. It's his party now. Mine, he goes. My party this, my Labour that. But it's not his. And it's way past time he was put in his place over that and put a stop to his authoritarian streak. Should all of this ultimately prove fruitless, though, should Starmer keep Corbyn out, political damage that it will no doubt cause to Labour, then Jeremy has made his feelings very clear himself. Ever since I was elected an MP 40 years ago, I have fought on behalf of my community for a more equal, caring and peaceful society. Day in, day out, I am focused on the most important issues facing people in Islington North: poverty, rising rents, the healthcare crisis, the safety of refugees and the fate of our planet. Keir Starmer's statement about my future is a flagrant attack on the democratic rights of Islington North Labour Party members. It is up to them, not party leaders, to decide who their candidate should be. Any attempt to block my candidacy is a denial of due process and should be opposed by anybody who believes in the value of democracy. At a time when the government is overseeing the worst cost of living crisis in a generation, this is a divisive distraction from our overriding goal: to defeat the Conservative Party at the next general election. I am proud to represent the Labour movement in Parliament through my constituency. I am focused on standing up for workers on the picket line, the marginalised and all those worried about their futures. That is what I'll continue to do. I suggest the Labour Party does the same. It's not a statement pulling its punches, it's a statement of intent. He doesn't speak in the past tense, but very much in the present tense when he says, I am proud to represent the Labour movement. I am focused on standing up for the oppressed, and it's what I will continue to do. This is not a statement from someone intent on backing down. This is a statement from a guy who is determined to continue the work he's been doing for the last 40 years, whether that is within the Labour Party, where he should be, or outside of it, if needs be. Corbyn has not yet exhausted all avenues available to him within the Labour Party and will force Starmer to expel him if push comes to shove, with all the fallout that would ensue from that in order to stop him. People can argue he ought to move on, but it's not that easy when you've been a part of something like that for as long as Corbyn has, when you still believe in the founding principles of that movement, even if it's led by people who blatantly don't. He will exhaust them. He will shame and embarrass Starmer and co for as long as they abuse their positions. And if ultimately he ends up standing as an independent, which I'm sure he would, then he will still win, shaming Labour once more in the process.